They thought divorce would finally set them free. But for so many women, it's not the liberation they were promised. It's a psychological storm, one that brews and then breaks the very moment the papers are signed. Because what really happens after women divorce is not what society, or even their closest friends, tell them it will be. When a woman leaves a marriage, people imagine a sigh of relief, a sense of peace, a rush of newfound freedom. They see the smile, they hear the brave words. But what they don't see is the suffocating silence that comes after all the noise of the separation. They don't see the moment she closes the door to her now empty home. The adrenaline from the fight finally fades, and a deep, emotional hangover begins to set in. You see, divorce doesn't end the pain. It just changes its shape. Think about Sarah. She's 38, has 2 amazing kids, and just finalized her divorce after 11 years of marriage. For that first month, she was flying high on the illusion of freedom. There were wine nights with friends, genuine laughter, and this constant mantra, I'm finally done. I'm free. But then, month 3 rolled around. The supportive texts from friends became less frequent. The evenings grew quieter. Suddenly, there were no more I'm home texts from him. No one to have a small, stupid fight with. No one to get dressed up for, even if it was just for a trip to the grocery store. There was just quiet. A heavy, deafening quiet. And that's the moment it truly begins. The identity crisis. She's no longer a wife, but she doesn't feel single either. She's not quite healed, but she's no longer actively wounded. She is simply lost, suspended in a strange, disorienting limbo between the woman she was and the woman she's supposed to become. It's a place no one prepares you for. Neuroscience actually gives us a fascinating, if brutal, look into this experience. The brain of a newly divorced woman looks remarkably similar to the brain of an addict going through withdrawal. She's detoxing, not from a substance, but from a life. She's withdrawing from routine, from the validation of being a partner, from the fundamental human need of being needed by someone. And here's the most difficult part. Even if the marriage was toxic, even if he was neglectful or unkind, the bond was real. Your brain chemistry doesn't distinguish between a healthy bond and a toxic one. Oxytocin, dopamine, those powerful chemicals that once tied her to love and connection, they don't just disappear. They turn against her, creating cravings for a connection that no longer exists. And that's the real reason why so many newly divorced women find themselves staring at their phone at midnight, fingers hovering over their ex's name. It's not always because they want him back. It's because the aching silence hurts more than the painful memory. The brain is just desperately seeking a hit of the familiar, a temporary fix to soothe the withdrawal. Then, inevitably, comes the ego crash. This is a brutal, soul-searching phase. She starts to bombard herself with questions. Was it my fault? Could I have tried harder? What if I was the problem all along? She replays every argument in her head, every night he turned away from her. Every morning she cried silently in the shower, hoping he wouldn't hear. But the mind, in its desperate attempt to protect itself, does something cruel. It starts to edit the story. It minimizes the bad times. It conveniently forgets the soul-crushing loneliness she felt while lying next to him. And instead, it amplifies the rare moments of love, the glimmers of hope, the picture-perfect vacations. That's how nostalgia becomes the new addiction. She starts missing a version of the marriage that never really existed. So, what does she do? She tries to rebuild. It's what everyone tells her to do. Get out there, reinvent yourself. So she does. She gets a new haircut, buys a new wardrobe, maybe even creates a Tinder profile with a forced smile and a bio that screams, I'm fine, I'm fun, I'm over it. She posts pictures on Instagram from her new, exciting life, all while feeling utterly and completely invisible. Because freedom without a clear direction feels just like floating in the middle of the ocean. It's beautiful and vast, but it's also terrifyingly isolating. No one warns women that after divorce, they have to rebuild their entire sense of self, not just their social life. They have to rebuild from zero, not as a wife, not just as a mother, but as a woman, rediscovering her own intrinsic worth outside of any role she ever played for someone else. And then, just when it feels like the darkness will last forever, slowly, almost imperceptibly, something changes. It's not a big, dramatic movie moment. It's small. She realizes she went a whole day without checking his Instagram. She starts sleeping through the night without waking up in a panic. She stops apologizing for taking up space, for having an opinion, for simply existing. And for the first time, maybe in years, maybe in her entire adult life, she asks herself a question that is untied to anyone else's needs. What do I want? Not what do the kids need, not what would my ex have wanted, not what will my parents think, just, what do I want? This phase, this is the awakening. This is where the pain finally begins its alchemy, turning into power. It's the profound moment she realizes that healing isn't about moving on or finding a replacement. It's about coming home to herself. From a psychological standpoint, divorce absolutely devastates the attachment system. Dopamine levels drop, serotonin plummets, and self-esteem is often shattered into a million pieces. But after the fall, after hitting that psychological rock bottom, comes the rebuild. Psychologists call it identity reformation. This is the critical period when a woman begins to redefine her core concepts of love, security, and strength, this time on her own terms. And the women who resist the urge to run back to the familiar, who sit with the discomfort and do the hard work, they emerge magnetic. They become emotionally sharp, fiercely independent, and utterly unstoppable. So, what really happens after women divorce? They fall apart. They truly do. They lose themselves in the rubble of a life they co-created. They are forced to face the dark mirror of everything they gave away, every compromise that chipped away at their soul. But then one quiet Tuesday morning, or one late Friday night, they rise. And when they do, they never love the same way again. They don't love less, they love wiser. Because once a woman has rebuilt herself after being completely broken, she becomes the kind of woman that no one can destroy twice. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content that dives deep into the psychology of our lives. We'll see you in the next one.